Okay, welcome back to another video, and today is my YouTube third birthday, which is July the 23rd, and the channel, if you work it back 3 years, began July the 23rd, 2012. So this really wasn't, it's not necessarily the date that my channel was created, because I set up an account with YouTube 2006-ish, just to be able to comment on videos, so I'm not really counting that date, and I'm not counting some of the videos I uploaded the beginning of June, July 2012, because they were really just a few tests on learning how the system works, really, just how you upload videos, and it turns out to be really easy. So a lot of those videos were, if I remember correctly, there were 2 Dreamcast demos that I shot with a webcam back in 2001, and I think there's an Amiga programming thing on there as well. But the first official video was July the 23rd rather. So yeah, so in this video I'm thinking about taking a stroll down memory lane. So I've done my homework and I've got some notes, and thinking back to what I did each year and where I want to go from there. So at the beginning in 2012, it's kind of weird in a way, because the other thing that's happened since then is I moved house, and I've been in this house now 2 years. So I only made YouTube videos in that old house for a year, and that feels really weird, because it feels like forever making those videos in the old house and not as long here. And I think it's because I'm not making as many videos now as I used to. So I had a lot more time a couple of years back than I do now, so I tend to find that I'm not doing as many gameplay videos, and I'm doing more talky videos and different things. I think I just don't quite have the energy to sit down every day or every couple of days and do a gameplay video. Maybe in the future, but I digress. So 2012, so the first video was Soulstar, which is one of my favourite games and something that I'm wanting to revisit with the Dreamcast coding, but I'll come back to that later on. Yeah, Soulstar, Burning Road on the PlayStation, and I uploaded my first music video, if that makes sense. It's some music that I did in Milky Tracker, and I ran it through a visualization to create something visual. So yeah, that was fun to do, and I don't think I released anything else from Milky Tracker, if memory serves correctly. I did do a piece for Games Blokes channel that was a bit of music that I was writing, and I couldn't quite figure out where to go, but I had about 20 seconds, and so that ended up being his intro, and that worked really well. So yeah, I've done other music things since then, but they tend to be more guitar based. And the other thing I did that year, other than the gameplays and what was called the weekend waffle, when I kept things on a schedule, which now I don't, it's just chaos. I did a video called Magazines from Back When, and at that point there weren't very many people doing magazine flick-throughs, if that's the correct term. It tends to be what gets used, and I think that's a really nice new type of video. And at that point I didn't really have magazines to hand. I found a few, I think about a year later, but I just started with PDF scans of magazines, CBG, and I was looking through them, and I quite enjoyed doing that, and I just put that to bed. I thought, well, I'll never get these magazines back, that's it. So yeah, that was fun that year. And then 2013 was, it's kind of scary, this. 2013 was where I did my walkie video, when I went up to Crowdon in the Peak District, and I started trying to do something different with the channel and do a series, because up until then it took me a few months to get the formula, and I'd just been doing the same thing for a year, and I was quite happy with it, but I just wanted something different, and I thought I'd do some shooters. So the idea was to go through, chronologically go through the Master System shooters, the PC Engine shooters, the Mega Drive, and it collapsed when I got to the Mega Drive. I just didn't, I don't know, I think I just got bored doing the same thing, because I was finding that the gameplay videos, some of these games I hadn't really played at that point, And up until then, I think subconsciously, I'd always chosen a game that I had played and I was familiar with. And I was starting to look at games that I wasn't familiar with, and that got really hard, particularly as shoot 'em ups, 2D shooters. You've got to really focus on the game, and it became a bit hard. So that collapsed. So yeah, what else that year? I started uploading some more Dreamcast coding work. So I'd got back into it, I think December 2012, having not really bothered with it for about a decade. So I think probably from about 2005-ish, I started trying to make games in Java, and that didn't work very well. There are some videos on the old website, but not much. Mainly just a few, images, screenshots, but that didn't go anywhere. Then I started making some Dreamcast videos of where I'd got to with the tech demos, and that started going up in 2013. The end of the year was the terrain engine. So I'd done some stuff with sprites, then did a terrain engine, and then that ended up becoming the lighting engine a year later. And this is where the game is going to come from, that it's a mixture of different things. But I think I won't go into that in this video. I think it needs a video in itself, because I've had some questions on the comments about going into details about the Dreamcast, so I think I'll save that to its own video. So 2014 was where I was trying to do something different again with the gameplays. I got back into doing familiar games, and I just wanted to do something different. And I bought a few Japanese Super Famicom imports, so I got the machine probably about 18 months ago. Yeah, that long ago. And I had these games and wanted to do things that were new. So the idea was, unofficially, it was a series that was looking for hidden gems. So I would take these Super Famicom Japanese Super Nintendo games, which is what it is, and go through them and just play these games for the first time. And I quite enjoyed that. The language sometimes was a bit of a barrier, but that was really good. And I uploaded a guitar improvisation, which I think is the last guitar video that I've done. That was the one which was sat over there before I moved the room round, and it was a volume pedal, and there was a delay, and the sound was repeating back on itself in this strange echo. And that was about 30 seconds, I think, and that didn't really go anywhere. There will be an album, I think, maybe. I've got a few weeks off next month, so I'm wanting to do a bit more recording, so do some Dreamcast coding and do a bit more recording. So I've got a couple of songs that are sort of complete in my head, and I practice them. I just need to get them down and record them. But being prog type songs, they're probably 10-20 minutes long, so you won't want to hear more than 3 of them, because that's an album's worth. So the other thing was the Duke Nukem 3D levels. So I'd done a video, I think a year before that, looking at some levels that I built when I was around 15, 16. And the first one was the Quake Level 1 recreation with a bit of Quake 2 in there. And these were some other levels, original levels that I'd built that were often based around the Alien films. I really liked the Alien films, and I did then. And yeah, so I just started trying to recreate things. I think this came from really a love of the documentaries and the books about the making of Alien, so I just wanted to do something. And they ended up becoming Duke Nukem 3D levels. So the end of that year was the lighting engine, which is for the Dreamcast, and I demonstrated that a few times at Replay, and yeah, that's not dead. I kind of joked a bit before when I said that I was throwing the code away. I wasn't throwing the code away, it was more that that experiment was completed. I'm now trying to make a game, a free game. But the code's there, it's just a case of reusing it. So it's definitely not dead. I haven't thrown the code away. It's just, it served its purpose. I can reuse that in a slightly different engine, but yeah. So 2015, what's the plan? Now, gameplays, I got to the point where I'm struggling a bit because I think this is true for the community in general. There are only so many games and it starts to repeat itself. And it's nice to see different people commenting and doing commentary over the same game. But after a while, you start thinking, have I got anything new to say about this game? So it becomes a little bit difficult. But, and here's the thing, I've noticed a few months ago that there's a new type of video, and this is doing magazine flick-throughs. So there's Gruss Newton with Games Master, Cojones Deloro with Superplay, Bad Fuck Up, if that's pronounced right, with CVG, Retroballs with Edge. I've missed one. Oh, Soulfunk Retro with Mean Machines. I thought it was Mean Machines Sega, but I went back, it's not, it's Mean Machines. So I do have to do issue 5. I can't get out of that one. And about a week or so, no, it must have been more, 2 weeks ago, I was just on eBay one night and I was just looking around and I started looking at the price of magazines, and they're a little bit expensive because a few other ones were by Retro Sofa, who hasn't been around for probably about a year, but he did some Sega Saturn magazine videos, and I really enjoyed that, reading those magazines at the time. So I started to look for the cost of them. They were really expensive, but I just found a bundle that had, I think it was 7 or 8 magazines, and the same seller was selling some others, but I don't think he'd named the magazines in there. So they were only a few pounds each. So I got this huge list of magazines. So what's quite fun is I liked that video that I did in 2012 with the the PDFs and filming a screen, but it didn't quite feel right. And I think seeing these guys do these videos, there's more of a personal touch of just going through the magazine and reading it. I think on a screen it doesn't quite work. There's a little bit of separation there. And I think there's a bit of nostalgia as well with actually holding a magazine in your hands. So the idea was to do some long videos. I'd done a couple here and there. So I'd found CVG when I moved to this house. That was the first video I did. And then I did an Atari one, probably about 6 months ago. Ran out of magazines, so I thought, great, I'll order these magazines, and some of them I'm familiar with, some of them I'm not. So this one is Mega Drive Advanced Gaming. This will be the next video because I was trying to work out an order whether to do CVG, Mean Machine Sega first, then Sega Saturn magazines up, and then Sega Magazine, of which there's only one issue. And I thought, no. I created a table and I'll go through them chronologically. And so yeah, that worked. I thought that would work pretty well because then there's some continuation, particularly as I don't have every issue. There are gaps, so different magazines fill in the gaps. So yeah, so this will be the next video that I do. But I've really enjoyed this, and doing those previous videos, the magazines, it feels a little bit like when I start doing the gameplay videos, because it's just nice to be able to sometimes not even look at the magazine, just go straight into it, and you get this nostalgia hit, and some of the knowledge just comes back because there's a lot of things that were in magazines that are not there in the games. And I think I put a comment on Retroballs' video probably about 3 or 4 days ago, and in that comment I was saying that the magazines are important because now we've got the internet, which is really two-way, but back in the early 90s there wasn't really a community, and particularly the senior school that I went to, as far as I know, I was the only person that was kind of openly into games. I think other people were, but no one talked about it. Whereas at junior school, the one that I went to for the last 2 years of junior school, people were really passionate about it, and it disappeared. And that's back with YouTube, but you didn't really get this two-way interaction. You had the magazine with people like Julian Rignall, who's the person that I think most people remember words. And that was almost like your conversation with other people, even though it was one way. It was kind of odd, but you had this connection to a community because there were other people reading the magazines and you could write letters. And I really enjoyed that. But going back to reading these magazines and doing talkie videos, it's kind of nice because you can talk around the video and not just have the bare bones, because I can put a game on, I can talk over it, but I think that's only part of what the game was. It was the expectation of reading the magazines months before the game came out, and I think that's what I remember the most. I think that's the part of the nostalgia that I enjoy. There was a video by Infected Flinch, and he was saying, is it ever the same when you buy back something into your collection? And I think I don't know, I think the memories of reading things in the magazines cushions that a little bit, because even though it might not be something you had, or it might not be that physical game or console, I don't know, it's different than if you never played it. And also if you read it, I'm trying to make a point here, it's not coming across very well. I think if you'd never played a game before and you'd read about it in the magazine, that then becomes yours. And I think that's the extreme case. You never owned it back in the day, but you read about it in a magazine. So even though you're buying something new, I would still say that feels the same, if that makes sense. So my side of the fence is, if I owned the game back in the day and I got rid of it and I bought it back, it feels like mine. But even if I didn't own the game and I read about it, it still feels like mine from back in the day, if that makes sense. Unlike some of the Super Famicom games, which I've never heard about before, and I'm hearing about them new. They feel new. The other ones feel kind of nostalgic. Got through that one. Yeah. So the other 2 points were the Halloween specials. So I did one in 2012, didn't do one in 2013, but in 2014 I did the Amiga Cult. And this is really fitting in with the other point, which is community videos. I think that's brilliant. Just having people in the community reaching out to each other and doing something collaborative. And I think Retro and Limb is the other thing, I suppose is the third point, becoming part of that as well. So I think having play, replay, going to those, having Retro and Limb, having the YouTube community, doing the collaborations, that's all good, because it means that you're building a community of friends, but you're also doing things that you couldn't do on your own, just sat, looking at a camera, talking, playing games. Having that community is different, and it makes it feel more fun. It kind of gives me a lot more motivation. So for the Halloween specials, I did the Amiga Cult, and that was, I think I had about 5 people in it. So this year, I'm going to go big with it. Something more horrific, and it's going to take a long time to put together. So I think it will be September, the beginning, when I start to put the requests out and start pulling the footage together, because I think I might have to do some clever editing, which is something I'm not very good at. I use really bare bones editing software because it's quick, but for this I think I might have to do it properly and do some special effects, which will be intimidating but hopefully fun. Yeah. And horrific. It's got to be horrific. I have to be able to top what I did last year with the cat that looks a bit like Bagpuss, that's not Bagpuss. He's not that copyrighted cat. Drinking the blood of the Atari ST. So I have to top that. Yeah. Yeah, so I think I'll leave it there. So it's been 3 years making YouTube videos and being part of this community, and it's great. And I've made a lot of friends along the way. Some I've spoken to online, and quite a lot I've met in person, either at Replay or outside. So yeah, it's all good. And hopefully at least 3 years more. We shall see, we shall see. But I think the thing is just keeping something original. And I think the magazines is fun, and I've enjoyed doing that, and it's got my motivation back. And I'm not going to rush it. Probably do one, maybe one a week. and maybe do a video or two here or there. But I was leaving it for a long time. I think once you've not made a video for 2 weeks, it's really hard to make them again. So yeah, maybe it's just a bit of perseverance is needed to keep going and making videos and for it to be fun again, which it is. So I'll leave it there. So thanks for everyone who's subscribed over the last 3 years. And it's not, well, going back to segue again, Lawn Boys posted a video and he was talking about the subscriber count, and I think there's some good points on that, that it's not necessarily about the number, it's about the number of people that watch and appreciate what you do and comment and respond to video responses, and it's just good to do something and be part of that community. And having more than a small amount at the beginning, I think I had about 100 subscribers, I think it took about a year to get to that point, just opens the door a bit more to get more conversation going, and I think that's fun. So yeah, I won't waffle anymore. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully there'll be another video soon, which is probably this. I might just record it now.